So you guys might have heard of the Alchemist from his beats for Kendrick, for Mobb Deep, for Eminem, literally countless others, but if you know him, you know he's a
sampling god.
And he just dropped another incredible album with Freddie Gibbs called Alfredo 2. So today what we're gonna do is make a beat in the style of that album, of his beats on that album, and highlight some of the interesting sort of creative choices that he makes and maybe how you can implement them into your own music. So without further ado, let's get into it. So always the first thing we want to consider is the tempo range that we want to work in. And I went through and I averaged out all the BPMs for the entire album, and it came out to basically 72 beats per minute. So that's what I'm going to be working at. So you can see really, really slow beats, almost like lo-fi style. When you are considering a sample, you want to find things that are kind of like psychedelic and sort of dreamy sounding. Because if you listen to the album, that's kind of how it sounds. So this part took me quite a while to find something that I think would work. But I came across this this sample from Azimuth, and it sounds like this in the intro, which I think is awesome. So there's a lot we can do with this. Now, one interesting thing that he does throughout this album is that hardly any of it is kind of chopped up into like very tiny pieces, sort of like what DJ Premier does. Most of the time his samples go all the way through the bar and there's no kind of starting and stopping of each little piece of the sample. So what we want to do is kind of stretch the sample to fit the range for each chord, basically, so that there isn't a lot of stopping and starting between each sample. So instead of putting this inside of a sampler, I'm actually just going to keep this as audio, and we're just gonna kind of move around some of these chords and stretch them until we find something cool. So this is kind of the basic sample layout that I was thinking here. And so now I just want to kind of go through and warp each of these little pieces so that they fit the tempo a little bit better. So now what we want to do is add in some of the drums. And the really cool part is that the drums on this album are so simple. Like the grooves are really simple. And I think, you know, he does this on purpose to really let the samples and the vocals shine more than anything else. There's not like all these like crazy things going on with the beat. So we're literally just going to have a kick, a snare, a rim shot, and then a hat, and that's it. So for our kick here, I just chose this one here. And I'm just going to low pass it a little bit here to about 700 hertz. About 60% of the album are rim shots, and so I'm going to use a rim shot as well, and so I chose this one. And then also what we've got here is just a normal kind of hip-hop style hat. Okay, so I'm going to create just the simplest of grooves on top of this. If you think you've gone too simple, you probably haven't gone simple enough. Next, let's do a little bit of processing on the drums, and so I'm just going to add in a saturator here. Just add a little bit of dirt and grit on there, nothing too crazy. I also like to add in a redux too, to kind of like do some bit reduction on top of the drums to emulate, you know, some of the old analog samplers. You don't have to do this, but it does add a nice little bit of grit. And finally, I also like to add in like a low pass filter on top of the whole drum kit, just so that it sounds like it's coming from the same, you know, the same machine almost. So I'm just adding a low pass filter here. Kind of darkens it up a little bit. And the drums too are not like super crunchy and bright on the album. They're kind of like more dark and more subdued and really mixed low. So that's what we're gonna do as well. Like on some of the songs, I swear, like I could barely hear the hat at all. So let's keep that hat real quiet. Now for the bass on the album, he usually goes one of two routes. The first one is that he'll use like the bass inside of the sample, or he'll add in like another like real bass on top, or he'll do more of like a classic hip hop style 808 that just mirrors the kick basically, or follows the kick rather, and kind of emphasizes some of the chord changes. So we're gonna go that route for this one because it's more of like a sort of that classic style hip hop beat. So something like this here. Just completely following that kick, real smooth. Maybe we can even emphasize some of those harmonics in there. Really letting that sample speak as much as possible. One other thing that you kind of want to think about is a lot of the times in these beats, there's definitely like a B part or like another part of the sample that he uses to transition into. And there's another chord change that comes from the beginning of this that I thought we could use as an option for that. So I think it's right here. So let's see if we can do something with that. Maybe go back to the second chord. And then we can have this repeat one more time, probably. So it's really nice to have this option to kind of move the beat along in another direction and then kind of bring it back to the main part of the sample. So let's add some bass onto this part real quick. Now, one tiny little piece of ear candy that I do want to add in that I hear him do sometimes is adding in like a little, very subtle snare roll at the end of the phrase or the last bar or whatever. So let's see if we can find something like that. Yes, exactly, just like this, right? So we just throw this in like at the very end as it sort of wraps around and repeats here, something like this. Really, really quiet too, like you almost barely hear it. What we need to do now is add in like a Freddie Gibbs acapella to test and see if it fits the vibe or not.
To the Nicaragua with Tasha, that bitch a rider. She don't want shit but dick and a couple dollars. So I surprised her, treat that hoe like Henry Hill. Got a mix in this sniffing powder. I gotta go home, my baby mama making empanadas. Pricing just they nana, I'm blessing tables and saying grace. Smacked him in Miami, his boys jumped me, he played it safe. Bitches in Buffalo did the same thing, they was throwing plates. Limped away on his good foot, but he ain't bust a grape, these niggas fake. Still docking and still popping it. Fucking certified crack babies, come get your mama hit. Shit ain't selling, they gotta resort to drama shit. Fuck these loving hip hop niggas, I'm at the Oscars, bitch.
It actually works really, really nicely with his voice, and I think it kind of has that dreamy sort of like ethereal feel that the whole album has. And I think my favorite part about this whole production style is that it's so focused, it's so simple that it lets the things shine that really need to shine, like the vocals and, you know, the sample magic. That's what it's all about, instead of, you know, covering up and obscuring the sample magic by adding all this extra production stuff in there. So something to keep in mind when you're producing too, which elements really need to shine through and which ones don't need to as much. Where's the real magic? I hope you guys found this helpful, and let me know if you have any questions down below, and also let me know what you thought of Alfredo too. I'd love to hear your opinions on that one as well. Now, until next time, Happy music making, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care. Peace.